Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation on Data Analytics project in size 47670. This presentation is presented by Alexander, Altukhov, Martins Onskulis, Robert Skorczewski, and Yuqing Wang. I'm going to start with an introduction of our project details, and Bob and Martins are going to discuss the result we come up with on posting questions, and Sasha is going to recap our presentation on this topic. Two questions our team are interested in are: Problem 1, which nonprofit issues areas perform better on the platform? What are the match rate, days to match, and the number of inquiries? And question 2, which project types take the longest to complete? Which one take the shortest to complete? The reason why we are choosing these two questions is because we think they reflect Taproot Foundation's business effectiveness and efficiency among different business categories. Our team started with researching Taproot's business goal, so we have a better understanding of the organization, the users, and the virtual projects. We explore the dataset provided by Tandra and pick the business areas we want to focus on. After that, we discuss the types of tools that can be considered for the project. The main tools chosen by the team are Alteryx and Tableau. Alteryx is an advanced data analysis platform intended to serve the needs of business analysis, anticipating a self-service solution. As we input data into Alteryx and create our workflow, it won't overwrite anything in the original dataset. Tableau is a powerful visualization tool, and it helps us share data more efficiently and accurately. Next, Bob is going to share with you some graphs we conduct using Tableau for problem 1.
Very much. I'm Robert Skorczewski. I'll be going over our first problem, which was which nonprofit issues areas perform better on the platform in terms of match rate, days to match, and the number of inquiries. So first we looked at the match rate for the various project types. The highest match rate was for copywriting and copy editing, followed by research, HR management, and CRM work. So success in finding matches may be due to a few different reasons. There could be a large number of inquiries for that project type, the expertise for the project generally needed may be more or less and lead to a higher or lower match rate, or the scope of those projects could tend to be greater or lower, which would have more qualified candidates or fewer qualified candidates and affect the match rate. And then how well suited the project type is to sort of volunteer consulting contract-based work system. So just some things may be easier to do in this sort of ad hoc employee setup. In the case of copywriting and copy editing, in a few slides, we'll see that they have a healthy number of inquiries for their projects. And it does take strong communication skills to do that work well. It could conceivably be done by volunteers who come from a wide array of industries. The same holds true for research. So they could have more qualified candidates there and lead to that higher match rate. HR management is more specialized, but this management work, it may be higher level, dealing more with strategy, and maybe more suited to the consultant role. And in CRM work, I'll say from experience, it's increasingly cloud-based, with many potential volunteers seeking to find find volunteer work so that they can leverage that in their search for future employment in the field. So either they are themselves just consultants looking to expand their resume, or they're newer to the field and looking for their next full-time permanent employment position. Looking at the number of days to a volunteer match after a project is published, the mobile development projects tend to take the longest, IT infrastructure is done most quickly. Evaluation's the next fastest to match. And so those two, IT infrastructure and evaluation, have fewer inquiries than many of the other areas. And that relationship between days to match and number of inquiries could go either way. So a faster match may mean that the postings are open for a shorter window because they're happy with the initial wave of applications they get. And so if they're closing those sooner, obviously they'll have fewer inquiries for those kinds of projects. But a lower number of inquiries may also result in there being fewer candidates to evaluate and maybe even fewer people doing the work who are willing to volunteer for their services. And so those could lead to also shorter times because the applicants are reviewed faster, or the organizations are just more willing to take whatever they can get to get their work done, because there are fewer people out there looking for or being willing to do these volunteer roles with those kinds of projects. So that relationship could be directional either way, or there could be a feedback and a little bit of both. On the high end, we have mobile development, which may require specific coding language skills or have larger project scope that requires several kind of back and forth conversations before there's a formal match. And so that may lead to some of those higher match times. And then we have on here both the average and median days to the match. So if we're seeing a wider spread between those two, that may imply that some projects within the categories are harder to match, with a handful of projects kind of pulling that average up, or that some of the organizations who have those kinds of projects just sort of have less urgency, and so they'll take their time to review or are willing to leave a project open until they find the right person. With the number of inquiries, so marketing strategy, design work, copywriting, copy editing, and website development sort of led in the number of inquiries, followed by CRM work. So these are areas where remote work could be more suited for these sorts of projects, and that's going to open up the number of volunteers to not just people in the local region. And some of those industries may also just tend to have more people working freelance. So you've got web design or design in general, copywriting, editing, those kinds of things. And so there may already be a number of professionals in there looking to build their portfolios, or who, because they already work in the consulting sphere, they may be able to more easily budget their time and know the implications of taking on these these projects because they are more used to it. So this is just the overview of the first part, the matching. Doesn't necessarily deal with the success of any particular project area, but that's really what we have for question number 1. So thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I'm Martin, and I'll cover the next question. So the next question that we decided to analyze is which project types takes the longest to complete and the shortest. We thought it would be really interesting and important for the Taproot to know the answer to this question, because then they can allocate more resources and focus more on the projects that take the longest to complete. And on the other hand, maybe they can take away some of those resources from the projects that do not take that long to complete. And so, based on our research and on our data analysis on Tableau, on average, public relations or PR projects takes the longest to complete, with 257.5 days on average. And the reason why we think PR projects take such a long time to complete is that PR projects involve a lot of people interactions and collaborations, which means that each project stage needs to be discussed with every party involved before moving to the next stage. And design projects take the shortest to finish, with 152.3 days on average, And we think the reason behind the design projects takes the shortest to complete, is because design is always a front line of the business, and it's really important to have it completed as soon as possible, and thus it might require less time and effort to complete than projects such as research, development, and so on. And moving on to the next, in our team also summarized some extreme cases for each business category for your interest. Let's say, for instance, one marketing strategy project takes the longest time to complete with 1520 days, and one IT infrastructure project takes the shortest time to complete with 5 days, which can be seen. And I think it might be really worth exploring more on some of the extreme cases and find out which step takes the most time within a case. And I really think these numbers are really important when it needs to be decided on how many people and resources are being allocated towards the project and type and category. And that completes my part, and Sasha will take over from here.
Thank you, Martins. I will make a brief summary of our presentation. To work on this project, we chose two problems. First, business performance by category, and second, project duration. These problems were based on the questions provided to us by Teradata. And these questions were, first, which nonprofit issues areas perform better on the platform, match rate, days to match, number of inquiries, and second, which project types take the longest to complete, shortest. Our motivation was to use these problems as key performance indicators to reflect Taproot's effectiveness as a company and project's efficiency within the company. Our approach to working on this project was to study Taproot's foundation, business goals, areas of expertise, the process of matching nonprofits with volunteers, and their joint work on the projects. In this project, we utilized only the data provided to Teradata by Taproot Foundation. As tools, we used Alteryx and Tableau software to analyze and visualize the data. Moving on to the problem summary, first, business performance by category, which included match rate, days to match, and number of project inquiries. When it comes to match rate, copywriting, research, and HR projects had the highest match rate. It varied between 71 and 76%. The lowest match rate was for the multimedia projects, and it was only 46.69%. Days to match. IT manufacture projects took the shortest time to match nonprofits with volunteers. On average, it took 14.7 days, and the median number was 11.5 days. Mobile development projects took the longest time to match nonprofits with volunteers. On average, it took 84.6 days, and the median was 57 days. Number of project inquiries. The top three in this category were marketing strategy, design, and copywriting editing projects with almost 4,300, 3,200, and 2,700 inquiries accordingly. The lowest number of inquiries was for the evaluation category, and it was only 224 project inquiries. Problem number two, project duration. On average, public relations projects took the longest time to complete. On average, it took 257.5 days. Design project took the shortest time to finish, and it took on average 152.3 days. It is worth mentioning extreme cases. For example, one marketing strategy project took 1,520 days, and one IT infrastructure project took only 5 days to complete. This concludes our presentation and project. Thank you very much for your time and have a good day.